the best communication tips as a real estate agent to use in real estate. My name is Lauren Plant, mindset and performance coach. All of my information is in the description along with a free discovery call with me. If you're interested in coaching at all, you can also check out some other tools and resources that I provide down there as well. If this content is interesting to you at all, please give it a like, subscribe, and share with friends so I can reach more people. And let's talk about it. Some of the best communication tips, in my opinion, that I can give to you, having been a real estate agent as well, for you to be more successful and communicate more effectively as a real estate agent. So, I will tell you guys that this book was very, very helpful. Nonviolent Communication by Marshall B. Rosenberg. He is really, really good in telling you how to communicate in a nonviolent communicative way. I also mentioned this book in another one of my videos you can check out here about all of the books that made a really big impact in my life and in my career in real estate and made me more successful. So this book is one of the books that made me more successful holistically, really, in my career and in my personal life, because I didn't really know how to communicate effectively, right, and in a nonviolent way. I was getting into arguments, or I just was choking up and I wasn't saying what I needed to say, I wasn't setting boundaries, and then that would lead me in a really poor direction or a poor place and back myself into a corner that I couldn't get myself out of, and it made work in my career and my professional life very difficult, along with my personal life. So the more I learned how to communicate, the better my life got, the more successful I became. Really, that is a skill that is 1000% necessary, right? And I can't believe that I didn't have it for a while, because it was really getting in the way of me leveling up and working with, higher caliber clients and better people and making the situation or the experience more seamless for everybody, including myself. So it is a skill, right? You think we just should know how to communicate, or we can learn this stuff along the way, but I think that you definitely have to learn through others and learn from doing your own research, but also navigating your inner blocks. I talk about this in every video. There's gonna be the essence to my coaching is removing and managing your blocks. And if you have blocks or triggers, it's going to get in the way of your communication. You can learn all the skills, that's the thing. This is the stuff they do teach you, right? How to communicate effectively, right? But when you're sitting here and you're like, why don't I and why can't I? It's probably because you black out. That's what we do, right? When we're triggered. There's a heated conversation going on, it's heading down conflict lane, and we just black out. Conflict maybe in the past was very unsafe, or maybe we overly embrace conflict and we like to argue. You don't know. However it is that you kind of receive that is how your body is going to react unconsciously to it, right? We lose all conscious control when we're triggered. All of a sudden we're either choked up and we're stuck in this place where we can't say anything, we can't stand up for ourselves, and then we leave the conversation with regret, should have, could have, would have, said this, that, or the other thing, or you take the other out and you catch fire too, and you guys are just throwing fire at one another, and there's nobody to put out the flame. So you're just yelling at each other, and it's just disgusting, really. It's awful. It's not a good feeling to be in a situation where you're arguing back and forth and you can't get on common ground. Right? So that's going to be the first thing that I'm going to tell you. Number one tip would be to navigate your blocks, navigate your triggers when it comes to communication, when it comes to fear of conflict, when it comes to how you receive and how you express information and how you can read other people's energy and how other people like to receive and express themselves, right? Because you as a real estate agent, we'll talk about in terms of career, you're going to have to adapt to other people. You're not just going to be able to freely express yourself how you want at all times and just talk how you want to, because not everybody speaks the same way as you. There are cultural differences. You're going to work with a lot of people who are different culturally, and you're going to have to adapt to those different cultures. And that's a main part of being a real estate agent, is being able to adapt to different situations, different scenarios, different energies, and different people. And if you learn how to do that, you'll be able to connect with even more. You'll have even more reach, right? And I'll always say this, you're not going to be able to help everybody. You're not going to be able to work with everybody. It's impossible, right? But you'll have more reach, the more adaptability you have, the more skills you have. So understand that you're going to have to navigate that within yourself. Some people haven't been heard enough in their lives, so they just want to talk about themselves the whole time. I can't tell you the amount of real estate agents I've seen like this. I used to go to meetings as a real estate agent, and it would just be everybody just talking about themselves, and there was no effective communication. You see this a lot in the work field because a lot of people use work to prove themselves. Don't do that, right? This is a really good time for you to listen, observe, ask questions, and effectively navigate and communicate a situation in order to get to the outcome. And that's a great skill to have, and it's really fun. That's why I loved the career so much. That's why I love coaching so much. I get to talk, I get to listen, and I get to solve equations in my head, solving problems, right? And that's what we are, we're problem solvers. But we can't do that if we can't effectively learn to manage our blocks in order to communicate properly. And also, another tip would be listen. Listen effectively. Some people don't know how to listen. And you can hear something, but there's a difference between listening to respond and hearing the information and actually taking in and applying it and then moving forward with that. You need to read between the lines as well. So give yourself some time and space to hear somebody and register and process it and feel their energy, feel their feelings too, because that's going to help you navigate this process as well and communicate even more effectively with your client. So those are the first two. The third one I'm going to tell you is get comfortable sitting in the discomfort of others. In real estate, there's a lot of uncomfortable situations because you're talking about money, and not everybody wants to confront some of the situations that need to be confronted, right? Maybe their budget doesn't match up to what it is they really want, having those difficult conversations that they have to go up in budget, or whatever the case may be, right? And you have to get comfortable sitting in the discomfort of others. So that means you're going to have to allow yourself to sit in silence. Again, it's that over-speaking. Don't get stuck in that over-speaking, trying to fill the silence and try to make everybody feel comfortable, because that's not going to get you the outcome that you need. So in communication, in life, especially in this career too, make sure you leave space for silence, for processing, for thinking, for moments that people need a space to maybe change their mind, right? Even if you guys are in a disagreement, right? You give it some silence and you give it some space, and maybe they come up with something different, or they calm down, or they cool down, right? People can be very reactive, but you can't be reactive as a real estate agent. So that's why I say number one, first step, most important step is manage those blocks and triggers. You cannot react. You need to be able to control your reaction and stay calm at all times. That's my next tip. You need to stay calm. Your energy is going to be contagious, and your energy is also going to be the one major thing that controls this entire showing, this entire outcome, this entire experience for somebody. Your energy needs to be so strong, so calm, that it controls everything. And when somebody does react and somebody does get outlandish, you can take a minute, you can sit in the silence for a moment instead of lashing back and straight away just saying something and going off about it and not thinking. That's that unconscious reaction. You want to stay conscious. You want to stay with yourself, right? And when you're able to give that time and space, and you're able to say, listen, I'm really sorry that you're feeling that way. Don't want this to be a poor experience for you. How can I help? Changes the whole game, because people just want to be heard and understood. It's really all they want to do. And the more you can understand your client, the stronger of a real estate agent you're going to become, the stronger of a professional you're going to become. You can do anything when you understand somebody and what they need. That's your goal here. But you can't do that if you're not listening and if you're not communicating effectively. You can't do that when you're reactive, or you're just trying to be heard, or you're just trying to prove something, or you're just trying to have something to show for. You're just trying to close the deal. You're outcome oriented. Good communication does not come from a place like that. So you do have to focus on these things when it comes to being able to talk to somebody the right way. And listening and asking questions is going to be your best friends, right? Whenever a situation does get awkward, or you feel like you're losing a bit of control, you just ask somebody a question, how can we make this experience better for you? What is it you need from this home that you weren't getting from the last? Or what is it you need moving forward? What do you need from me, right? And if something is ridiculous, then you need to learn how to set boundaries. And that's when you're going to have to learn to communicate objectively, right? Without emotions behind it and just telling people what you need. This setting boundaries is a really tough one for a lot of people, but communicating strongly will come from setting boundaries and letting people know what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. And it's a big difference when you tell somebody, hey, I don't appreciate being spoken to like that. Is there a different way that we can communicate where we both feel understood and heard? Versus, you're not going to talk to me like that, right? Like, two very different scenarios. One, I think you leave a little more wiggle room to work with. And some people you won't be able to, and you will have to let them go. And that's okay, right? It's not a good match. It's always okay. But the other one leaves none, right? And I've been on the end of both. I've tried both. And I'm going to tell you that the nonviolent communication way is a lot better. Letting people know, hey, this is what I will tolerate, but in a way that's very objective. You don't need to over-explain yourself. Never over-explain yourself. Say something, say it once, say it again if you need to. Repeat it. Hey, I don't like communicating in this manner. Can we find another way that we can do this? How we can handle this, where we're both seen and heard, or whatever, however it needs to be done. And the more objective you are, the less emotion you put behind it, the better it's going to be, because it's almost a non-negotiable, right? When you just tell somebody, we don't have time to go to that unit, we're going to have to skip that one and do it another day. But, sorry, we're going to have to skip that one and go to it another day, right? People respect you better. People respect you better when you lay down the law and when you have a baseline and you say, this is what I will do and this is what I will not do. And when you say you're not going to do it, you can't fold under them. They're going to start taking advantage of you. So you really need to maintain that control when it comes to your client and your showing. And I don't want to say control, but you really need to be the one who's in guidance. You're the one who's steering the ship here. You're driving the car. And they need to know that. They need to know that you have what they need. And you need to communicate that. And when you communicate that, they're going to know. But if you don't say it, they won't know. Another one is you need to understand that everybody's nervous. Everybody's a little nervous and they might be reactive. And when you're nervous, you're going to have to learn to manage that better. You're going to have to learn to keep that under wraps. There was one thing that I was really good at in real estate and still am, it's making sure nobody really knows what I'm feeling, right? I'll handle that later. And I cannot put my emotions on my clients, and you shouldn't either. You really cannot project onto your clients. It really won't end up well for you. So make sure that you understand that they're just a little nervous, and be a little more understanding, be a little more empathetic, because it's a lot of money that you're working with. It's a big deal. This is a new home. It's very sentimental to people. It could be even triggering for them to move. Who knows what they've been through. So you gotta look at it from all angles and understand that people are allowed to feel their feelings, but you can't take on the feelings of other people. You can't, when they react, you can't take that on. You have to stay grounded in yourself, your professionalism. And even if you need to take a moment and be like, trust me, I've got a temper. I've lost it a few times on people, more than a few times. In real estate, people test you. This career tests you at all angles. But the better you learn how to manage it in your career and then in your personal life too, and it all flows into one another. It's just you don't get anywhere when you're going back and forth with somebody and you're not communicating effectively. So be very straightforward, be objective, but also be empathetic. There's this fine line where you do have to remain professional. However, you do need to be understanding and understand the person, and the more you understand them, you're going to be able to help them. So get confident in your communication as well. Confident communication, even the way that I'm communicating with you guys right now over video, right? If I was talking with my intonation going up and down, and I'm saying and then you can do that, and then this, and it's nobody wants to listen to that. I'm confident in what I'm saying because I believe it, right? And believe it when you say I've been doing real estate for a year now. I'm back to my really good team. I have closed X amount of deals, and I think I can really help you the best that in the way that you're really looking to be helped, right? And you're always just doing your best, and that has to be enough. But you need to be confident with your tone and how you speak, and maintaining your tone is going to be really good for your communication. Notice how my intonation doesn't go up or down. Notice how I really stay flatline. However, it's still engaging, right? You want to do the same. You want to talk to somebody and make it so that it's a conversation, right? It's an open conversation. You want your energy to be open, and you don't want any anxiety to move with your voice, because people can pick up on that right away. You want it smooth, you want it neutral, and you want to communicate with people as such so that it leaves room for them to feel emotions. It leaves room for them to feel comfortable with you too. You want to have that kind of nurturing type of personality that brings them in. So work on that too. Work on your tone, work on the way in which you speak. I mean, I've trained my voice. My voice wasn't always like this. I put a lot of emotions into my voice until I realized I didn't want to do that anymore. That wasn't how I wanted to do business. And it didn't need to be backed with overexcitement or with anger. And when I also learned how to become a little more emotionally stable, where my emotions weren't going up and down and up and down, that also helped. I'm working with a client now, and she came to me. She's like, I get way too excited. And when you get too excited, people kind of they see it in your tone and in your body language, but they also see it as they don't respect you, right? Because you're losing control of your own emotions. So they're like, what else are they going to lose control of? So you have to understand where the unconscious mind even sees those things. It's like, especially if you're working with high-end clients. So work on that, and hopefully that helps, because these tips are going to be really important for you when you do move up in your real estate career. I hope all of this information was helpful for you. And again, give this content a like or subscribe to my channel, share with friends, and as always, good luck.